is my 27th year on earth, and I think I've done up to 27 businesses so far. By the time I start counting, time is definitely going to go. So right now, I'm just going to get right into this video and tell you about things that I've ever done for money in my life. So let me state this: I'm not the type that has actually ever done anything because of money in particular. I've always been just after, like, I just want to be a great person. I just want to be this kind of person. So, and I didn't come from a background that I had to also for money. No, anything that I wanted, my father was always ready to provide it. So I actually don't know what happened. So let me start from this. So at the age of 6 or 7, um, I had a friend, Amina and Raima. So I usually go to Arabic lesson. So at the age of 6 or 7 or so, that around that age, 6 or 7 years old, we used to write storybooks. So we write storybooks in a, like, we'll just buy like exercise notebooks. So buy storybooks and I'll write storybooks, just form a story, write about it. And when we get to Arabic lesson, we'll sell those storybooks to people, like stories that we've written ourselves. So we'll sell it. It was actually my friend Amina and Raima then that encouraged this business. I would just did it and we used to make 5 naira, 10 naira. Like when I get to, I'll write a whole storybook because I know that I'll go and sell it the next day in Arabic lesson. And I did that for a while. I think what happened was Raima relocated, Amina as well. I think she relocated as well from my area then. So I think that business stopped. So what happened after then was I had another girl in my Arabic lesson then. She used to make beats. Her name was Medina. Yes, her name was Medina. So she usually make hand beads. So she taught me how to make. And that was my first encounter with making hand beads. So she usually make all these small small hand beads, and I learned that from her. And so like I would send my mom. My mom would help me buy beads. I would make beads. We'll sell it 50 naira when I get to school. I think that was when I was almost entering secondary school. Or let me say when I was in secondary school. So that was when I was doing this handmade beads, and I actually did this for a while. So I think after then, I think I was not really doing anything per se. I was not really doing anything. Okay, so after my JSS3 as well, I went to learn. I went for computer training. So I learned Corel Draw. So I could even design graphics since like just JSS3. So I learned how to design graphics. I learned all of those things. Then my mom took me there. Then I learned the whole. I learned Microsoft Excel. That was my first encounter with anything that was in tech. So I learned all of these things and I was able to utilize and I was able to use them very well. So I think I didn't do any business in particular till I finished secondary school. Or did I? I think I did something. So I used to design, okay, it was along graphics. So I used to design graphics. I used to design all of these things. So like if you're trying to design a book, a jotter, a birthday card, I used to do all of these things and I used to sell them in school. When people are doing birthdays, I think some of my friends even used to hire me then. I will make birthday cards, greeting cards, I'll design it with cardboard, I will do all of those things. And I was very, very creative as well. So when people have their school projects, I usually help them to do it and they're going to pay me for doing those projects for them. People were ready to pay me. I think that even extended to when my sisters entered secondary school because I attended a secondary school where we did a whole lot of projects. So I usually help my sisters with their project. Like it was like a job that I do willingly, and I was always ready and happy to do it. So I think after I left secondary school. One thing that also had an effect in my life was going to Kwara State University. So Kwara State University, they really encourage entrepreneurship and I did a whole lot and I'll be going into it right now. So when I first got to, I think the holiday transitioning from secondary school to university, those periods I was at home. And I think one person that has always helped my journey was my mom because it's very funny that she does not really like me doing business per se, but for every training that I've done, like she was the one that ensured that I did all those things that have actually have positive effects in my life right now. So during that holiday transitioning, she took me to a shop at Taiwo. So that shop, the length, it was like a all-in-one shop. She teaches people tailoring, how to make beads, wire work, cake, and all. I think I registered for two of the sessions, which was the bead and wire work making, and also the what do they call it, and also the cake session. But I had one advantage there. So when I was training there, the woman also she made Ankara beads. She made all of these things. So I learned almost everything from her because she was not even hiding anything from us. She wanted us to learn anything I wanted to learn. So I learned all of these things from her. So when I got to the university, I still had all my packages for Ankara beads. Like I will make Ankara books. All my books in my 100 level were made from Ankara books. I had my Ankara bags that I make. I'll make earrings, and a lot of people love them. And I don't think I was actually even doing it for money because, but everything that I had beads. There was even a guy that was my friend then Fuhad. Like I would make beads for him. He was a fashion designer, so I'll make beads for him. I'll make beads for my friends. Then I'll make wire work design, neck chain. I used to make earrings for my mom that she wears to her office. She'll show it to people. I'll tell people to come and buy, and it was very, very, really funny then. So I think after I resumed already, I think because of the school workload and all, it reduces, but it's not like it's reduced because I was still making it. And so during my going to 200 level holiday, I went back to Ewa. I went back to that place that I trained as well. So I actually did a full time training. I was even making cakes. Like I was really, really active. So by the time I resumed to 200 level, I even had oven in school. Yes, I had oven in school. I had baking pan. People even come to rent my baking pans. I bake cakes for people, birthday cakes, anniversary cake, name it, any type of cake. I had some friends that also learns cake baking then, and we do our works together. So when I got to my 200 level as well, I noticed that there was this trend of pashmina scarves that was trending then. So and they were selling it for very expensive price, not really expensive. So I used to buy my scarves at a store near my house at Flower Garden in Ilori. The store is called Garage Store. So I would visit this store and they were selling it for 1.5 in school. And maybe when I buy five scarves, this woman sell it for me for like 1.2. And I thought this is a business opportunity. So I asked her if she can be giving me those scarves and I'll go and sell those scarves in school. And guess what? She gave me these scarves the first time because she knows my parents, she knows my house. So she gave me these scarves. I took these scarves to school to sell and I make profit. And at the end of the day, like I started buying in bulk, like I was selling scarf. Anyone that knew me in school there, my 200 level, I was making scarf, I was selling scarves. Like my room, a lot of people would come to my room to come and buy scarves. I would advertise. From there, I added pants. Even these things I'm saying, my parents don't know about this. They might even be surprised if they're watching this in this video. But I always had it in me. I didn't even know what came about because once my dad give me pocket money, like I lacked nothing. That's just the truth. But I don't know why I was always doing these things. So I was selling scarves. I was making cake in the hostel. I was doing all sorts of things, and that transition. So what happened in Kwasu is that when you attend Kwasu, all the way from 200 level to 300 level, it's compulsory that you go to learn a skill. It's very, very compulsory that you go to learn a skill. So what happened was that I learned what do they call it? I went to one of my uncle, was a chef in Kwara Hotel. So I went under him at this point. So it was making things that I was still making, cakes and all. But what changed then was that it was actually it made small chops, it made regular food, like foreign foods, all these pastries, croissants, like French fries, like he made a lot of things. So when I went to him, I spent like 3 months with him. So that was where I learned, like, I actually owned my culinary skills. I knew how to all these chef things, small chops. I learned all of these things from him at this point. And like I was really good at it because I spent 3 months. So it was like it was a very intensive training and I enjoyed all my trainings. I enjoyed everything I had to do with I did with him. And it also helped me like move further. So I think when I resumed in 300 level, I actually toned down every business I was doing. I don't think I did any business per se in my 300 level. Okay, I was doing a business, but it was not something like cake and all. So what I was doing in 300 level was that I made beads for makeup artists, for Ashoki vendors in Ilori, in Abuja. Then so I will make all these bridal beads for them. We use them for photo shoot. People ordered bridal beads. If you are very familiar with LBV makeovers, I think I'm going to look for some of these pictures and attach here. So I would make the beads, and when people like the beads, they'll patronize us after we model and all. So I was doing all of these things. Like I was always going out for shoots every weekend. Most of the weekend, I go home normally. So from home, I'll go to these shoots. I would present my products. I would do all of these things. So along all these while, one thing that has been consistent with me is I never dropped anything I was doing. I was still doing making these beats. If there is need for me to make a snack, I can remember when my sister was graduating from my secondary school. I actually made all the snack that we took there, meat pies, everything. So even when we have occasions at home, I was the one always doing all those things for my mom, for my parents. Like I knew how to cook. Like I was always doing all of these things consistently. So I think after when I got to 300 level going to 400 level as well, we had to do IT. So I did something instead of doing IT, regular IT, going to work for someone. My dad paid for my training, so I went to learn website design. My training level going to 400 level, so I went to learn website design. So that was my first encounter with learning web, and I spent like 6 months doing just website design. So that was from there that I knew that was where I actually knew how to design websites. So like I was very good at website design. That was just the truth, but I was not really using it to make money. So all this while I'm talking to you, like I'm still making my cakes, I'm still doing everything I'm doing, I'm still doing everything on the side. So after 400 level, I think I some things happened which I will be discussing in a separate video. So I was at home and I had nothing to do at that point. So there was this someone that I knew, and somehow she was telling me about how like I knew her from way back. Then I saw her videos, and she's now this very popular person. She was not, and she was like a really trusted person. So she was talking to me about how I can be like a real estate consultant and something. And something along this while, like I was feeling like a failure. I was feeling really down, and that was why she just sent me like pictures. She sent me, okay, this is how much I could get from doing all of these things. I was just like, okay, since I was idle, I was not doing anything, I could try and lay my hands on this. But it's not something easy because I think I was just 20 years old at that point, so I was really young. But one thing about me is I put my best into everything. So I opened Instagram page. I think I named it AJK Owns at that point, and I was actively marketing. I know the funniest thing was that I think like 6 months after my first after marketing, I would just post on Instagram. I would make videos. I would do all of these things. I got my first client. I think okay, my first client before then was my brother. It was actually my brother, and he introduced some of his friends to me as well. So because I told him I was doing something like that at that point. So after him, I got someone on Instagram surprisingly. I said he wanted to check the land, wanted to do something, and the business even needed my presence. Like I had to be in Lagos, but I was not in Lagos at this point, and this person still did this thing. So I just and I made good money off it. I can't even lie. That was my first encounter with a huge amount of money in commission. So and that was the point that I knew that this thing, this thing. But one thing that happened then was I didn't tell anyone about it because I feel like everyone will be like, why are you selling land? Land is for you are just 20 years old. So I was just doing it on the side, just on the low. Only me and maybe my sisters knew about what I was doing. So after that first encounter, so it's because like it actually boosted my morale and I felt like I was doing something great. I was doing something good for myself at that point. So that was the time I launched my cocktail business. That was 2016 as well. I launched my cocktail business. I was making I learned how to make cocktail. I went for a training to make cocktail. There was this woman, she came from Lagos. She taught us how to make cocktail. The funniest thing was it was my mom that paid for this training as well. So I learned how to make cocktails and because I knew how to do a lot of things. So I just wanted to add it to my business. So at that point, I said I opened an Instagram page where I posted my works. I started going for events. When I tell people that there's actually nothing I have done that I was not good at, it's very funny, but that's true. So I started going for events. I would travel out of Kwara. I would go to Ogbomoso, I'll go to Oyo State, I'll go to Osun, like I'll go to Ofa, I'll go like every weekend like this. I had an event for small chops, for grills. If you're very familiar with Kunle Afolayan or Gabriel Afolayan, that they are actors. When they were doing their father's remembrance, I was actually there. Like I was almost every weekend. I would have like 4 events in a day. Like it was like a major business for me and I was really happy. Like it really worked out. Like I was the biggest cocktail vendor in Ilorin Forest State then. I can say it with my full chest because like small chops, like And I was doing this, and later on, I started training people. I had students that would come to my house for training. I had all of these things at that point. I was growing big. So at this point, I was still doing the real estate, but it was just like a side hustle. I may not post in 1 month, I may not post, but I was just doing the side hustle. So in 2018, after I got married, like even till I got married, I was the biggest cocktail vendor in Ilorin. That's it. And all this while, like when I have jobs, you will see my mom, she'll not sleep till morning. When I'm going, she help me to arrange all my stuffs. When I'm going and I need a car, my dad will get me a car for me to go and work. And it's very funny that now I never gave them 1 naira out of all the money I was making. But one thing about me was I was not even spending the money I was making, I was reinvesting. If you wanted the latest gadgets for cocktail vendors, I had everything because I was always one thing about me was I tried to always put my best in things. I tried to always do it differently. And I'm very passionate about branding. Like I'm always passionate about branding. So after then I got married. So when I got married, I had to relocate to Abuja. So when I got to Abuja, it was not easy because I wanted to start my cocktail business, but it was not easy. I think one thing that helped me in Ilorin then was the fact that it was where I stayed. My parents knew people. I have friends, I have families, I have cousins. So it was very easy for me to start my cocktail, my small shops business there. In Abuja, it was not easy, but I started as well. I started going to trade fairs. So I went to one trade fair and oh my god, everything I took, rain was falling on that day and the rain was really heavy. The rain even caused a lot of flood in Abuja that day, and nobody came out for this trade fair. I had to take all my things back home. I really cried that day, like I was crying everywhere because I was really sad on that particular day. So I think after that day, I still attended some trade fairs, but it was not like before because I had to use my money to spend for trade fairs. And when I was in Ilorin, like people pay me to come for their event. So it was two different things. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. So I'm one of those trade fairs. I met a woman. She works at United Nations. So I met her there and we spoke and she told me okay that she sells clothing. That it was easier for me to sell clothing at trade fairs than to sell food, to sell like small shops and all. So what I did was every weekend I would go to a place. I would go to all the these trade fairs hold every weekend at CC Park in Wuse. So I'll go to these trade fairs every Saturdays and I think Sundays. I'll go there, I'll collect clothes from her. She'll give me like 1,000 discount or 500 discount. So I'll sell them without having any capital. So after selling some of these clothes, I'm going to give her a capital back and take my interest. So every weekend I was making nothing less than 15,000 naira for myself. So one thing that about me then was that I didn't want to be idle. Like why would I be at home not doing anything? Why would I not be at least like doing something with my life? I'm not a housewife. I'm not a proper housewife. So I was still doing this um real estate thing along the way. So I had people in Lagos that helped me go to sites, that helped me go and check everything I was doing in Lagos. I was frying at it well as well. So that same year that I got married, I joined I trained. I That was the first time I paid for a training, for like online training. So I trained as a social media manager and as a graphic designer. I knew how to design graphics, so it was not really hard for me. But I just needed to learn Canva. So I learned Canva and social media manager. And I joined different groups on Facebook. And by the end of December 2018, I already had like 5 clients. So I had this person doing DSTV. I had a shop in Maitama in Abuja. So I had a shop. I go there. They sell pizza. They sell drinks. So what I do there is I go there to create content for them and post it on their Instagram page. So I was doing all of these things for like 6 brands or so then. And at the end of the day, like at the end of every month, I was making up to 180,000 naira, which is a lot of money in 2018. So like I was just really there. And sometimes I'll post on my um and or I'll post on my real estate page. So from there, I think I got one other client on my real estate page. I started getting messages from time to time. Oh, I want to buy land. That was when Ibejuleki was really hot. I want to buy land in Ibejuleki. I want to do this. So me too, like I would just refer them to people in Lagos and they'll pay me my commission. And it was, if you sell a land, it's very easy for you to make 20% of 600K is like 180K or 120,000 naira. So like money was coming forth. I was doing that real estate at that point as well. So I think after a while, I got pregnant. So I was still doing my social media management. I had my client on retainership for like 6 months, and I was doing the real estate, but not fully, not fully because I had some problem then, and people had to go to Lagos because I was not in Lagos. Like I was having serious issues at that point, so I had to actually reduce rate at which I was doing it. So after I got back from, so I went to give birth. When I was still giving, even till the day after I gave birth, I was still handling my client's social media accounts. So after I gave birth and I returned back to Abuja, I decided to switch business. I decided to, because one thing that stood out there for me was I knew that um the real estate money, I had to put it in other places. I cannot just be making money from one source and not putting other things. So that was when I started selling thrift abaya. So I'll buy bale of abaya, I'll snap pictures, make videos, create content with it, and I'll just post them on my page. And I was getting clients, also clients. I would send them to Lorry. I would send everywhere. I was doing all of these things for my friends. I also started doing personal shopping for some of my friends in Lorry. They were selling like perfume and scarves, so I'll just help them get it. I was doing it for other people as well, just help them get it and send them to Ilorin, because scarves and perfume all were very cheap here in Abuja. So I was doing all of those things after I gave birth to my first child as well. So I think December, after December 2019 was like my breakthrough in real estate, because I think I sold a lot of properties then that I sold, and I can't even remember the amount that I made from selling properties that same 2019. And it just boosted my confidence that okay, why am I disturbing myself for all this abaya that was just making 60K, 30K here and there? Why not focus on this thing and make it actually very big? So I started. But one thing that stood about me was I was always passionate about learning things. So I saw a digital marketing institute where they said I was going to get a Google certificate at the end of the training. So I enrolled for the training in January 2020. So why I even enrolled was so I could help my real estate business, because I wanted to do sponsored ads, Google advertising. I just wanted something to help my business as well. So I started for this and I learned a lot. I even have my Google certificates, my Facebook certificates, like I am duly certified. So it was along this why that lockdown started. So when lockdown started and we were just at home, it was very funny. So we were just at home. Okay, along this before lockdown started, I started my bakery business, my small chops, my yogurt, perfume, mocktail. I started in January 2020 as well. So at that time, lockdown started and people were not really ordering like they used to order from me before. I will attach my Instagram page so that you can see my Instagram page as well. So that was when I now started training. So I make videos on how to make banana bread, how to make. So I started the training for 2,000 and a lot of people bought my training. And that was when I started my digital marketing agency fully. I will attach pictures as well. So I started and I was managing page, I was designing websites, I was doing all of these things for people. And that was during lockdown, but I was not idle at all during lockdown because I was still working actively all through the lockdown. And I think that happened. I traveled during lockdown. I came back, and when I came back in 2020, I got offered a work as a real estate. That time I was really into real estate. That's just during the lockdown phase. So I started working. I got an offer to start working as a real estate, like marketing for a real estate company. I got a work, and the funniest thing was, even at the time that I got that job, I was still actively doing my bakery business. I would bake from I wake up as early as 6:30 after praying and everything. I go to my backyard. I will go and bake. After baking, I would send out orders and I go to work. Then at that point, I realized that I could make money off dispatch logistics business because I was delivering. So if I wanted to buy a bike, it was very easy. So at that point, my husband bought a bike and we started the delivery business together. So actually started with my business. So any money that clients pay for delivery, it's going to my business. So and it actually made things very easy then. But later on, I actually expanded. I bought more bikes. We even had a branch in Lagos. We bought bikes in Lagos then, and we expanded the business. That was one of the business I did. And my bakery business was going on and all. It was going on, it was successful. Then there was this time that I could not take orders anymore because my where I used my business, everything spoiled. Rain spoiled all my working equipment. There were termites as well, so I had to hold on the business. So I was into actively into real estate business only for the whole of 2020 slash 2021. Then a disaster struck in 2021, and even amidst this disaster, I was still trying to see whatever that I could do, whatever like I could do to make money and all. But when the disaster struck, a lot of things happened, which I will talk about in some other video, maybe in October. So was I was jobless for a long while. And while I was still jobless, I was still doing something. So that was when I created, it was November 2021 before I gave birth. Okay, I forgot one business. I used to make fruit packs, so fruit hampers, gifts bulks during Ramadan, and I used to sell. So during that year's December, I was already planning to make hampers and gifts to send out to people, but it did not work out because I was pregnant for my second child at this point. So I started making what do they call it? I started my page, my Instagram page, Hello Hour. I started this page in November 2021, and I was just posting about things that I've learned and I could train people about. I just started posting about okay, how to do this, how to do that, how to do all these skills. And I think in 2022, after I gave birth fully, I started to focus on all of these things fully, and I started to launch other business on the side, but they all failed. I started to do a cleaning business, a the whole field. I tried to go back to my real estate business, but I realized that that business has cost me enough trouble in my life. So I just decided to leave it out, even regardless of the fact that the money I will make from selling the property is what I would make in 3 months doing other things that I was doing. I was really okay with it. So that was when I thought I was doing freelancing, managing pages on the side, but that was when I actually went into Upwork, LinkedIn, and all, and that was successful. I started training people. I started doing a lot of things. That last year, I got scholarship on data camp to learn data analysis for 6 months. I completed a lot of courses on Udemy, on Coursera, and that was why when you talk about website design, I can do it. Talk about social media management, I can do it. And the fact is that I was actually trained for all of these things, not like I was just jumping into them. So I think I've even omitted a lot of things, but basically this is everything that I've had to do for money in my life, or everything that I've had to do maybe as a skill or as a side also in my life. So I think I left out some, but that is just basically it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, if you enjoyed this video, kindly tell me how many business you've done so far in your life, or things that you've actually done for money as well in your life. Just drop comments in the section and we'll just discuss. So bye guys, that's it for now. I'll see you in my next